Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Midnight Brands coming to you on Tuesday, April 11th, 2023, with live prep. Going to get started here in just another few seconds as we move some of the screens back and kind of wrap up the stuff we had from going through a pre-review here this morning. Hopefully, everybody had a great Monday, is back to it, and is enjoying some of the fun ranges we've had over the last handful of days. Our prep buddy is feeling sick still, so he will not be joining us today. And so we'll just be going through these pieces here by ourselves. And yeah, so with that, going to go ahead and get started here. Let me flip actually one last thing. So we put things back onto equities first. And so we can start off with SVXY. Alright, there we go. So SVXY, small range yesterday, almost reminds me of UVXY there a little bit in terms of how lackluster it is, but nonetheless still had a good clue there at the morning if you were watching. Right, bounced right off of that WPP, which came just shy of the swing AVWAP from the fourth. I guess you could actually have anchored one here. Yeah, that was an oversight on our part from yesterday and not catching that one. Kind of felt like it would have been too much noise, but that was a really nice clue yesterday off of SVXY there, coming down and tagging that weekly pivot and the swing anchored VWAP there. So looking pretty nice on that for sure. I copied the wrong thing yesterday, nobody noticed. Alright, so today we had NFIB. I have no idea what the hell that even is. Business Optimism Index at 6 a.m. Eastern, time well long past. ICSC retail sales at 6:45 Central, 7:55 Red Book, 12 p.m. U.S. Treasury bond auction, 12:30 Goolsby is talking, and then there's API stuff here after the market close pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and start some of these other pieces here. Prep and econ for Tuesday, April 11th, 2023. Live link. Okay, so SVXY there, you've got a nice little potential way up at the highs there at that 67 mark-ish level. So in fact, we're not even going to go up that high because full ADRs, and I don't think they're going to change much unless we start getting some really bigger moves here on the indices, which we have had a nice fade, 10 points give or take now off of the lower edge of the what's that trend guide? Can't see. It should be trend guide reversal. Yeah, trend guide reversal zone. Coming back down. Let me check and see if there was some news here. I haven't heard anything. Of course, I had my radio stuff muted. Moderna's flu shot, 602 Scotiabank. US dollar trades lower. Visa is partnering with PayPal. South Africa menu production. 553 CarMax, Kazakhstan. I don't see anything that is driving this. I mean, the NQ is down 70 points already from its peak, which was just shy of its trend guide reversal zone, but couldn't clear the other night's overnight high. So interesting nonetheless. In any event, coming back and closing off here, so top edge, we've got the div just below that. We've got a nice fat zone there with AR1, WTGR2, and photo ADRs. Just beneath, there's the tier 1 daily cheat. Moving down below, you end up with your daily trend guide reversal and weekly trend guide reversal, and then down into your trend strength with last week's highs and some structure there at 65. And then we open up until we get into, we combine these two zones here, your trend guide 30-minute swing anchored VWAP from April 5th, as well as your weekly pivot and your tier 1 daily cheat there. There's not really a lot there at that 64-ish level. I'm not sure why it is. Yeah, there's just some structure there really, but it's not enough to really matter. So actually I'm going to go ahead and delete that. If anything, we could include this as a possible div/zone level with that swing anchored VWAP and the weekly trend guide there. So then each full ADRs, 20-day, and then beneath there we end up with a bigger one, which we adjusted a bit to include the 50-day EMA. And so you've got your weekly photo ADRs, your 50-day EMA, your tier 3 cheat, and then if we do decide to keep going, then you end up at a bigger pivot cluster there too, with weekly trend guide 2, quarterly pivot, monthly pivot. So that is SVXY. And just putting it on the daily there for a quick second. And I'm going to go ahead and mark this here. And we're going to call that there with SVXY. Okay, again, we're skipping some of these further upside zones. We go up there, you'll be able to see them, folks. They're right there, but that's really getting outside of full ADRs, and so we're gonna skip those on that side. We adjusted this, as we just said, and moved it down to ignore the photo ADRs, but to grab the other stuff there. And really, these we shouldn't even bother with because it's beyond full ADRs, but we're grabbing them there anyways. Okay, so in here, I'm just gonna do my posts. So next up, we'll hit VIX. Okay, so VIX. not sure there's a lot else we're going to adjust in here. You get your MPP. We drag down the zone to include WTGR 5. This is definitely one we want to go beyond full ADRs in what we're scoping, because VIX can turn on a dime and get moving faster than you know it. So that's why we've gone up to the WTGR 5 there, and actually where full ADRs stand. So between there, really, I mean, there's, you could say there's some structure here looking left. In between here with some of these wicks and whatnot. I guess you could take this WTGR3 zone and drag it up to include some of this stuff. And then probably just grab it to the bottom of the zone there. I don't believe that it picked it up and marked it because it's really just all by itself, and there's not a ton of structure in that area recently. You do have a pretty wide side zone there at that, again, quarterly pivot, WTGR4 type of stuff, and full ADRs is actually there too, so it should be blue, but I'm not going to bother with that now. Yeah, I mean, this one really is kind of straightforward here today. Trend strength's right in the middle, of course, as always, but it is definitely an in the middle one. Would definitely keep an eye on that TGR zone with gap fill, the tier 1 OPEX sheets, and gap fill there from Thursday, I guess. Yeah, Thursday. So that is the VIX. What's interesting to note as we flip through here, I mean, out of all of these weeks with the way everything's been going, daily S1 has still been trend guide reversal for the past 17 days. So pretty interesting, although that may change looking and glancing left. Unhighlight the screen here in a second. The Nasdaq is down almost 100 points from 5 o'clock there. So I don't know what started. I guess there was that business news there, right? That we talked about, the Business Optimism Index, NFIFB at 6 o'clock Eastern, 5 a.m. Central. And has really been pushing things, but I mean, that's 80-ish points. So it's trying to catch the bottom edge of this zone. You'll see here in a little bit. In any event, that's VIX. VIX SPY is next. Let's take a quick look at it. That is not. There we go. Now we can see stuff. Okay, so SPY would really be a bigger move for SPY today, but definitely in the realm of possibilities. Go up and tag that weekly full ADR, monthly trend guide reversal, kind of all that big noise up there. big one it noted was WTGR3, but if it's going there, it would also include monthly trend guide reversal into that set. There is a div there at the top edge of supply and demand, tier 1 OPEX cheats, tier 3 daily cheats. That might be tier 2 actually. Yeah, that's tier 2 actually, daily cheat right there. So it's definitely more feasible. You didn't see that before. This would still be a pretty decent sized move if we did come up here. Full ADRs though is right here. You got a nice kind of double gap fill and a sneaky gap fill depending upon how the weekly trend guide stuff is drawn, but there's a gap fill right at the WTGR2 and full ADRs is just a hair below. It's going to move up just a touch if we stay at this gap. Supply and demand, so it's really nice zone there, and beneath that, in between those ones are the photo ADR tier 1 daily cheat until you get down to that block below with WTGR, and would actually adjust this here a little bit to include that candle open. And then here you get your TGR really all by its lonesome. You could take it down if I don't grab it quickly. Yeah, I'm not gonna mess with this. You could take the TGR zone down to include the top edge of this range box. That range box is, you know, really what we've been inside of here. If I move back over to the daily. Yeah, that's what we've been in. It looks really kind of funky there, but if you look at it on the monthly, I mean, it really gives you a clearer picture. And so that's what we've been trading inside of for the last many months at this point. So this does still kind of look like that cup, but you know, I need to clear some of this bigger stuff. And so anyway, you could take that down. That'd be a pretty wide zone from 411 down to 410.20. In any event, you've got an inside one there with WPP, TSRP. Swinging VWAP will come up and join it at some point here today. And really in between the two, you've got that trend guide with another swing anchored VWAP below, joining the tier 1 cheat. Watch that as a div. And then down lower, you've got your photo ADRs with WTG1, supply and demand and structure. It would actually get rid of this if I can select it and not watch this as a full ADR. I mean, we're still going to watch it, but actually in looking at this second time through, I would I think treat it like this. The full ADRs are going to slide up there anyways. And get more into the middle of that supply and demand zone. And this swing anchored VWAP will come up here and join this. And so then you'd maybe have something here. That you'd keep an eye on. You got a daily anchor VWAP just above that, which is this swing anchor VWAP there from the 24th. So yeah, that is SPY. We'll zoom back out so we capture everything. Okay, take a look at the cues real quick. Pretty funny how this looks. I mean, just very, very similar to the other day. Alright, sorry folks. I had to say good morning real quick to a few people. Alright, so the cues. Actually, let me move this so I can see if anybody does chat. Well, I don't know if there's anybody here as usual. Makes me feel lonely. Not really. And yes, we're weird. Okay, so here you've got your WTGR2, Tier 1, and a week cheat. In between all that stuff is a top edge supply and demand and a Tier 2 daily cheat there. Really probably just going to stop there and not go and mark any of the stuff higher, because that'd be a really crazy move if we did decide to go up $11. And the way that the NASDAQ really kind of rejected and really big, again, that just seems like an odd, maybe I'm zoomed in too much, but that seems like a pretty good sized move already that early in the morning. In any event, you've got your ADR blocks here. Full is going to end up moving down more likely than not into this zone here further. A nice little setup there with trend guide reversal at the highs and gap fill. There's a gap fill here. You could actually draw a zone there with WPP. In fact, we'll do that. We'll just create a little div set up here. Yeah, we did push hard into the close, but treat that there like that as a div. We come back up there, gap fill from Thursday, WPP, top edge supply and demand, etc. On the lower end, you've got your supply and demand, Tier 1 daily cheat, and your trend guide right there. And then failing that, down lower right, you get your weekly trend guide, your photo ADR, full ADR just a tad bit below, and then a gap fill from, looks like the 29th. In the middle there, we've got I'm just looking to see if there's a day VWAP that joins that. I don't see one that joins that 20-day. I guess you could put one here. You could put a VWAP here off of this gap. But I mean, you already have one right here on this. Yeah, I don't know. I wish somebody else that bounced an idea off on that one. But that's still not, not quite at that same area. The 311 we've marked in the past is some interesting structure area to keep an eye on, nonetheless. And so you've got that there, and then yeah, kind of beneath that we end up at this broader zone there. As long as I don't zoom out too far. And looking back at this, if I could select this stupid box, there we go. I would draw this up here actually to catch the top edge supply and demand, so it makes it bigger for sure. But if we start coming down this way, then it could be an interesting one where most folks won't have that marked. You get your Tier 1 end of week cheat there, so that could be interesting, along with tagging the top edge of supply and demand. So yeah, I think that's interesting, and really going to stop at that level there for the Qs, it seems like that would be a little odd to keep going beyond it. We'll note this here, which will probably put it up just below trend strength. Yep. Okay. Tuesday, April 11th. All right, gonna go ahead and flip over to the futures and stuff here now. Yeah, you can see the move there that I was talking about with the came right up and tagged the bottom edge of we'd already adjusted and moved things around here this morning, but came right up and tagged the bottom edge of that zone we'd marked up there. I'm just gonna look left and stuff here on the daily to see if there's something that catches our eye off that 4150. And there's definitely the poked above there a couple days last week, but like just looking at bar closes and stuff, you do have this one which is kind of interesting. But its high is 4175, not 4150. Oh, I don't want high, actually I want to open. So what was its open here? 4137. You must have grabbed the wrong bar. Well, that is definitely interesting that with how we're trying to hold in there at that spot. In any event, we got that zone. Beneath there, we have this wider zone that we had carved up with the gap fill, the range box, high value area, last week's high value area, 10-day point of control, and the last week point of control right at the weekly pivot. I kind of debate about having the box up that big. It's not in a grand scheme. It looks big because we're zoomed in, but it's only 6 points. But it just feels like we're gonna skip all those pieces and just tag this weekly pivot here which you can see the interactions we've had off of. So I don't know if I'm going to attach, I don't know, I'm kind of leaning towards this. Yeah, I've got the stuff drawn there for the high value areas in the gap fill, but you know, almost kind of lean towards that. That could allow us to bring down this zone there. Actually mark this as an inside then, because it is much more inside now. Yeah, I think we're gonna adjust that. Give me 30 seconds here, folks. I'm gonna remove. Really paying attention to these high value areas, and not. We'll include them, but I'm not going to give them a score. I'm going to do the same thing for low volume nodes. And we're just going to give weight to the high volume nodes and to point of controls. And we're going to right now give kind of medium-sized weight to those high volume nodes, because high value areas just where the majority of the volume trade, right? So it's an interesting metric, but I'm not going to track that as much, I think. To put a control to allow the Z order to be set, it appears, because it's not getting set. Alright, so anyways, beneath all that we get our trend strength reference point, and swing AV WAP is coming up to join in there. Underneath and lower, it would actually, let's mark this as an inside, because it is inside, where you've got your daily trend guide. All the bars are messed up again. I hate that. And bottom edge supply and demand. The big piece about why I've drawn that up there is you get your tier 1 daily cheat. So kind of hold this area here, get some bar closes, you know, maybe wicks below to attack some of the stuff in reverse. And then, you know, market makers are trying to keep it inside of this cheat and this one way up here. And so, in any event beneath there, we do decide to fail here. You know, potential stopping ground. It looks like we just barely tagged the weekly trend guide. So maybe we come down, tag it, take out the naked value area low from the other day, and stop there. Otherwise, we got tier 2 daily cheat, full ADRs, top edge supply and demand down lower there. And if we decide to not stop there, then go even lower, right? You got your gap fill, bigger swing anchor VWAP from March 24th. It also is a daily, and we have the 20 days. So this zone here sets up for the look. So would definitely watch this area here because it's full ADRs and you got your chi, the top is supply and demand, but it would want to be open to coming down and tagging this. So I don't know if we start failing this and looking like breadth is looking bad. Like this is just an area where you watch that breadth and whatever else and see how we're performing. Alright, we didn't catch all of that, so in any event, just looking at the upside so we don't get ourselves too biased on one side or the other. You know, you get your trend guide reversal, your weekly trend guide reversal up above, and then we decide to keep going. You end up with some photo ADRs and stuff. Like, I don't know, this is just, it's there. Would actually draw this down because the ADRs have moved since we've sunk lower now. Yeah, I think that's how I'd watch this one here for the day. Really stinks that that's not. In any event. 10-day is right at 41.18, which puts it in between these two. It puts it actually going to be more, it's going to be closer actually to trend strength reference point here today. But in terms of zones I watch, I want to take action on, we need to see where things are sitting at for us to do a higher low off of trend guide and the tier 1 daily cheat. It is inside, but wouldn't it be a bad one if we do decide, excuse me, if we do decide to stop there to grab that. So otherwise, like I said, you know, would watch this area. You know, would certainly try this here, but would also be cautious, right? I mean, we've come down and tested this 4090s now, you know, a handful of times over the past several days already. I mean, we shot right through kind of this area, came back, test, and then did a lower low against it, and then a lower high. We did poke a little bit above, but nothing of great significance there. So can watch, maybe do a flat retest. Would really love to see us kind of stick this zone here if we keep pulling down. Definitely not as clean as I'd like to see it. The NASDAQ was much cleaner here to my eyes today. Also, I'm not going to go above the full ADR zone here today. It's there. It's definitely possible, but I'm just going to stop at that spot on the upside there. We'll stop at some level similar in the downside without tagging and noting all of these zones. Sans the look there, of course. And actually, I would take that back. I'm going to note this one other because this is a really major zone here. we decided to blow through. I mean, yeah, this has the look and stuff there. It's got the weekly photo, bottom and supply and demand, but I mean, this is a pretty big cluster of stuff here, and it is wide. So we'd probably attack it, you know, coming down here, hitting the top edge, and bounce. Maybe it comes back up and bounces, and it grabs this this lower edge with the gap fill, APP, quarterly pivot, and then reverses. But in any event, that's how I'm watching ES. Well, that copy and paste stuff goes, NQ. Hopefully I don't have to move things around and just do this once. Ran right into the... Did it? Did I anchor that thing right? I don't think I did. No. Well, I'm trying to move my daily anchor VWAP, folks, but as you can see, Ninja is frozen. It's definitely not any of these VWAPs here that we're tagging on. So not really sure what's, I mean, obviously, like, we've got some of that stuff there with these wicks and whatnot. Kind of interesting there. Not really sure what to think about that, but I am going to use that as a guide and bring down trend guide zone there, and also going to mark this as an inside zone, even though it's going to make me have to re-update all of the candles. The same with this one here. So yeah, I don't know if there's a whole lot else to say on this one. The full ADRs have definitely moved down, but they're going to join that other zone. I'm not going to readjust the color on it real quick. Just going to leave it as blue. So up above you would have some low volume node range stuff there, and the tier 2 daily cheat. Beneath you end up with your full ADR is likely moving into it, along with the weekly photo and weekly trend guide reversal 1. Skipping all those pieces down below, you end up with your tier 1 daily cheat, and it looks like some high volume node stuff there. In a naked VA, which looks like it'd be the naked value area high back from April 4th. And I've done a whole bunch of backtest studies, things to show how things end up pausing and reversing at these. That you can go look at if you're in the AA channel, Adaptive Analytics, that is. Lower, obviously, we have where the overnight highs have stopped so far. Gap fill, your weekly trend guide, daily trend guide reversal, and last week's point of control, as well as the 13,200 level that we've noted a handful of times in the past. Blew right through this kind of weekly pivot gap fill stuff, and it looks like we're going to be coming down and testing trend strength, swing anchored VWAP. I'm going to ignore this tier 1 daily cheat here, and I've also marked this, you can see, as an inside zone, because it's inside. It is got some stuff there with some high volume and low volume node things, and yesterday's low value area, but really the bigger zone of interest to me would be down here at weekly trend guide and full ADRs in the tier 2 daily cheat. Failing all that, you come down much lower, aiming up at this div where you've got your naked VA and you have your 20-day. There is not a daily anchored VWAP joining that one, so it doesn't set up for the look. Somebody else may draw a VWAP there, but there's just not one. I mean, in theory, I guess you could put one here. Of course, my ninja wants to freeze. That's actually not a bad one. It does get poked, but then has had 2 really nice touches, including yesterday. I thought I had that on there actually, so I'm not sure why it. I did have to restart Ninja a couple times yesterday for some reason. In any event, yeah, I think that's the NASDAQ there. It's definitely been cooling off. The SE on this, with just kind of how we've been chopping through here, definitely been some nice nice zones to trade and stuff, but it's definitely helped cool that off. Not gonna draw the weekly trend guide reversal 2, just gonna start here and move on. Okay, let's flip over to RTY. Gonna stand up here for a minute. And ideally we don't adjust anything, and so far it is looking like we are not going to adjust anything in RTY. So pretty clean and straightforward zones there if you look at RTY. I don't think there's really much to explain on it at all. Which is nice. Right? We like nice. we did split up this zone here. If you can see, we split the MPP WTG across into 2 zones, and so we took this block here with the cheat and the tier 1 end of week cheat there, and split that into its own zone. Technically this should be orange, but we're not going to adjust that and move it around at this point because, well, we're just not. What you don't see here on the screen, right, there's this weekly anchored VWAP. From just a few weeks ago. So yeah, that is RTY. Like I said, pretty clean. Do like the moving the start time back by 15 minutes. Gave us some extra time to flip through things and whatnot. So we'll see how that goes. Also gave us the opportunity to sleep in, to be completely candid. It's supposed to be up at 4:30. Obviously waiting for Ninja to draw the silly candles. Oh yes you can, it's not that hard to draw some candles. Yay! Good job, Ninja. Alright, so YM, hopefully there's not a lot to adjust on this one here as well. Like I noted, got a chance to flip through some of these here already this morning. So let's pull it up and looking at YM when we adjust the silly candleness. It'd be nice just to say, hey, draw that on top or draw that on the bottom. So for YM, we need to zoom out a little bit more because the full ADRs are indeed up higher. There we go. Really need to get all that stuff far back and probably reduce the opacity. We'll see if we can do that. So up above, again, kind of nice zone, bigger, much bigger zone way up there. Photo ADRs have moved down, so you can take that zone actually and draw it down just a touch. You still want to capture the top edge, supply and demand there, but yeah. You could treat that as a bigger one. I don't know if I did. I think I would just watch for the weekly trend guide reversal too. Probably ignore the weekly photo ADRs. That's why I don't have it marked. Under that, you have your daily trend guide reversal, weekly trend guide reversal, 3-year point of control, and a handful of other kind of point of control-ish type of things there. You can actually see in there it's 3-year point of control and some 10-day high volume and high value area and low volume node stuff there. So probably going to adjust that again. Like I said, already actually updated the code to, it'll still pull them in, but it's not going to give any weight to them if they're low volume nodes or, yeah. Trend strength smack in the middle, daily trend guide smack in the middle is lined up with last week's point of control and yesterday's low value area. Just wouldn't mind that if I've got it on screen and ready and waiting to take some action on. Could be a nice one. Of course, we got, you know, that assumes that we don't just capture trend strength, swing anchored VWAP, and reverse off of that. So, failing all those, you got a nice bigger one down below with your photo ADRs, tier 1 daily cheat, weekly trend guide, and again some low volume, high volume node stuff in that block. And if we take out that stuff, you can see there's obviously much more evidence down lower there. All right, so moving along. Yeah, I don't know there's really a whole lot else, so I'm going to take that there. And I'm just looking to see if we need any other, if we're missing any. I guess you could argue to put one on that inside piece there, but it's just, I mean, I don't know. It is kind of right inside of a box right there. Especially you just look at the opens and closes. It's been really, I mean, it's been completely inside of that box since April 3rd, so pretty interesting on that path there. Gonna just send that hopefully to the far back. Definitely be interesting to see what and how things trade up for the day. So there's obviously these other ones in here as it relates to, so like you have weekly trend guide 2 here. It's kind of in the middle all by itself. And so it's not that interesting. You do have this one here. It's also just kind of in the middle, so you can watch these. They're by themselves, so they don't give me as much. Like this is grouped, at least you got some, you know, full ADRs, top edge supply and demand, you know, weekly photos, swing anchored VWAP, and so I mean there's at least, you know, multiple pieces of evidence here. Here, all I have is the weekly trend guide 2. I mean, you can sure, oh, I got the IB high. Like it blew right through there, so like why would you even worry about the IB high from way back in this day? So I'm just not as interested on that. Similar down here, you could say that there's some structure here, and so that gives me actually a little bit more of an interest here. By looking at this, you could say something like that is of interest, so yeah. In any event, going to move that and move along. We'll see what we've got here on GC since I've got that one loaded. Okay, so GC, nice little, you know, dick for a tick there on the swinging anchor VWAP. I'm sure if that was a 5-minute, it probably would have tagged it, but I'm using hourly candles here. Just dick for ticked it on the daily, you can see there as well. So again, lower time frame. Did note earlier too, this you know, kind of forming supply and demand in my eyes there. I've got the daily anchored VWAP right at the bottom edge of it as well. So interesting one there. But yeah, I don't think there's a lot here on gold to note out. I mean, there's definitely some still bigger zones way up here, and you know, they're definitely possible. It's not unheard of right now with gold, with as much as it's been moving to jump up there. I mean, this 2050 level could definitely be in play here today, even though full ADRs is way down here at 2040. We've traded $20 already, so yeah, I mean, it's only yeah, it'd only be $40 in terms of ADRs there, and then just a little bit higher. So I'm not going to mark these, but definitely something to keep an eye on if we keep moving up this week there on those. On the lower edge, right, you got this supply and demand we just generated here earlier that we talked about. And trend guide reversal beneath that, gap fill, full ADR, tier 1 daily cheat. Beneath, actually you could take this and drag up a bit there. Just make sure you got the gap fill, and then tag this tier 1 end of week cheat. But yeah, like I mean, I think that like that's already a pretty big. That'd be a pretty really big move to the downside there as well. So, I'm gonna call that actually with just GC. And you can see we created a couple extra diffs here. Again, like I noted, full ADRs, gap fill, cheats, same thing here. Tier 1 daily cheats, gap fill, and mark those off. So, yeah. All right, let's take a look at CL. All right, there we go. Getting dangerously close to this big ass range gap. In any event, let's see if we can't get this little stay on screen there. There we go. Okay. So let's take a look and see if there's anything to adjust on this. It's still slowly but surely trying to make its way into that trend guide zone. And then this was that wick that I was just talking about there on the daily that I think we really want to try to hold. There is this high volume node here on the range that you can see that we've been in. And so there's definitely a good amount of interest here. I don't know that I would adjust anything on this so far. Yeah, like if it loses kind of this area here, then I mean it's just a ton of open space. And even this, like, is this really going to be a pit stop? I mean, it's full ADRs and WTG2. Is that going to really be, or is it really just going to reclaim this swing anchored VWAP here from March 31st now? So I don't know, gotta watch and see there. But yeah, I'm gonna treat that as CL. So when we originally had this on here, that wasn't captured. Because full ADRs had moved, so we drew this ourselves manually, so you got full ADRs and WTG2 there. This is a good size zone here, and you get your gap fill. So this could definitely be an interesting one, and this one has some much longer term monthly anchor VWAPs on it. So yeah, I mean, we take those things out, and this would get back down there and kind of fill that gap and whatnot around that big range box if we did decide to come way down here, tag the 20-day, 20-day and 50-day. There's swing anchor VWAPs and daily anchor VWAPs in there, but I don't think that's a today thing, candidly, folks. So we will leave that one there, not pontificate anymore, and call it. So that is it, folks. Hopefully that has been helpful as usual. Give folks an idea of kind of what we're looking at. Again, as a reminder, didn't mention this morning as we started, but none of this is financial advice or recommendations. This is all just to give you an idea of what and how we're looking at the markets and stuff for the day. So hopefully it's helpful. Again, this was Midnight Brands with Prep on Tuesday, April 11th, 2023. Hope you all have a great day, and we will catch